Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Ava Kolker about her new music that is coming out really soon. We're also going to be talking about her work on shows like Sydney to the Max on Disney Channel. Welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's always a fun, exciting, and I feel like sometimes weird time when you release new music because you work on it in the studio, and then very soon it's going to be the world's and it's kind of out of your hands. Do you think about that sometimes?
Yeah, it's a very weird process because even my songs that are unreleased, I forget that the world hasn't heard them. And then like the songs that are released, I'm like, oh wow, like everybody has like heard the song, like people know the song, you know what I mean? So the fact that like I just like release stuff and then people can listen to it if they it's a weird process for sure.
It is a
and
weird one.
Excited.
And a new song's coming out really soon. What can you tell us specifically about this one? And was there kind of a different direction with this one compared to your past songs, or kind of the same thing a little bit?
I would say a lot of my songs have different like energy, aesthetics, like tracks behind them, which kind of changes the feel of each one, which I like. You know, I like to keep it fresh. But the lyrics are kind of inspired by how, like, it's inspired by my love for listening to music. Like,
Yes.
I love making music, but I also love listening to music. And I feel like music can be so powerful and emotional in so many ways. And just sometimes listening to a certain artist or a certain song can kind of help you escape from your life, from your issues, from whatever you want to escape from. You just put in your headphones and like everything kind of falls away.
Yeah.
So that's what this concept is inspired by, because I feel like that applies to me, and I feel like that applies to a lot of other people as well.
What do you think about all like the genre bending happening in music these days, Ava? Because I just feel like there's some like songs out there, like you listen to it, you know what you're getting yourself into. But I feel like a lot of artists are kind of throwing in a lot of different elements, a lot of different sounds. What do you think about that these days?
I kind of love it, honestly. Like when I'm in the studio every day, I want to like try a new genre and just I want to test out everything. I want to see how I write best, how I sing best. Like I love trying R&B. I did a country song a few months ago. I just wrote one for fun. Like I think any artist should make whatever music that their heart desires and whatever they feel, whatever that they're in the mood to write. And I think it's like beautiful that we can all kind of create whatever we want. It's like art, you know.
That's why I'm glad you caught on to why I asked that. Because like if you look at some of your past songs, it's kind of a lot of different kind of avenues of genres a little bit with your past releases.
Yeah, and that is going to continue to change even more. So I've got a lot of fun different stuff, some more like serious. I have some ballads. I have a Latin song. I have like a really upbeat kind of like Ariana Grande type song. So I've got a ton of different stuff coming out, and R&B. So
did it kind of just happen, the route of doing music and doing acting? Or like, was this something you hoped was going to happen?
I mean, I started doing musical theater when I was 6.
Okay.
So it kind of, it kind of blended the two worlds together for me.
Yeah.
And then I really got into acting, and that kind of like just took off and went really fast. I went from like job to job. And then I was on Sydney to the Max. And my dad was like, would you ever want to make your own music? Because I have friends who are pretty big producers. And I was like, I mean, I think it would be fun. So then I wrote some songs and I fell in love with creating my own music. And then, ever since then, it just kind of continued, and it created a life of its own.
That's cool. So the path originally was theater and acting. That was like the craft of choice. And then it kind of, music came a little later, though. That's awesome. Sometimes it's like the other way around, where music came first and then people go in acting. But sometimes a lot of people, they're like, I was doing both at the same time and everything. But so that's really cool. And before Sitting to the Max, you worked on Girl Meets World, which is really cool as well. You worked in the horror genre as well. You worked in Insidious Last Key. You've done a lot of crazy things. When you worked on Sitting to the Max, do you feel like, because there was a lot that kind of happened with your character and friendships and everything, did you feel like you were prepared a little bit, knowing that you worked on shows like Girl Meets World a little bit, or was it a whole different kind of process for you, I feel like, preparation-wise?
I definitely felt prepared going into Sydney to the Max because, Disney Channel, their sitcoms, it's a 30-minute episode with like, cold open, scene A, B, and then it's 4 cameras, A, B, C, and X. So like I knew all the fundamentals. I knew how it was table read, run through, film. Like I knew the whole process, and all the kids on the show, it was like their first theatrical like job.
Yeah.
So at that point, I kind of was like, oh, let me help you guys. Like I got you. You know what I mean? So and I was like 11, but I totally felt like I was used to it already because I'd done it for 3 years, and it was the same type of routine in a sense.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting too because it's like when you were on like in City of the Max, you're like the best friend and everything. In like Girl Meets World, it was kind of, the character was also named Ava. It was like this character that had so much swag. You know what I mean? Confidence.
Yeah, that's for sure. She had a mind of her own, that's for sure.
I feel like that is such a cool thing because, that whole Girl Meets World thing was awesome because it's so many generations come together. It's the people the new fans that didn't know Boy Meets World and the fans of Boy Meets World. I feel like that was such a cool thing. In terms of City to the Max, because I feel like that show had a lot of heart and it had a lot of laughs. What was your favorite thing about working on that show specifically?
Honestly, I think for me, it was the fact that I got to be a part of like the cast. Like I was a series regular on that show. And for me, even though I loved Girl Meets World with all my heart, I always felt a little bit like an outsider because I wasn't there every day.
Yeah.
And, they'd be talking about like, oh, for the table read tomorrow, like after, do you guys want to, go get dinner? And I was like, oh, well, I don't know if I'm coming back tomorrow or ever. Like it was that, unsureness, whatever you want to call it, like uncertainty of knowing when I would come back or if. And the fact that I got to be on City to the Max and create my own family and be so involved in this cast and know all of that and really be a part of it, it was a dream for me, like ever since I was little. And just getting to meet so many guest stars and being like, that was me, and having the power to make them feel like part of the family too was really, really cool.
Getting back to the music and the acting, do you feel like it just, because it's all storytelling, like Ava Kolker is a storyteller, like that's what you do. Do you feel like you're more well-rounded, the fact that you're able to do both consistently? Do you feel like that's a fair assessment?
Yeah, I would say that's a fair statement for sure, that they both kind of help each other out.
Yeah, they go hand in hand a little bit, absolutely.
Even when I'm singing, my producer would be like, I need you to have emotion, like act it, like feel it. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm an actor, so I can do that. Like, it definitely helps. And then also, being on sets and stuff, I feel like I'm able to always be prepared and have that in my back pocket. They're like, oh, I can sing if you need me to sing anything. And also, sometimes I like to give input as well, direct and that kind of stuff. And I feel like that and songwriting, they're kind of similar because it's both like I get to involve myself in the creative process of both. Even though I'm an actor, but like I always kind of put in my 2 cents anyway.
100%.
So yeah, I definitely say they help each other out.
With this new single and everything, specifically with this, but when people get a chance to listen to your music, what are you hoping they'll get out of it, takeaway wise?
Well, obviously the ultimate goal is for them to relate, right?
Yeah.
Because I try to make music that comes straight from my heart, but that I also think other people feel as well and have experienced as well, which is why sometimes I make very specific, but sometimes I make more general statements so that people may relate to it in different ways. And even when I'm writing, I'm like, okay, well, this is how I feel. But, oh, someone else could hear this lyric, oh, like this way or this way, and all the different ways people could relate to it. So I think the ultimate goal is that I just want everyone to be able to relate to a song or feel like they're not alone in any situation, or just know that there's other people in the world feeling the same way as you or thinking the same thoughts as you. Like, I feel like that's the goal for me.
That's very well said. Thank you so much for joining me on Popternative. It was so great chatting with you.
Of course, it was great talking to you too.
Plug away. Like, when can we expect the song? Any social medias? Plug away.
My new song, All to Myself, will be on all platforms November 4th. So make sure to stream it and follow me on Ava Kolker on all platforms.
Amazing. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. Until next time, this is Ava Coker and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.